Hello and welcome to the Bel-E and Scratch podcast. I'm your host, Bel-E.
And I am your co-host, Scratch.
And today, once again, we have nothing to talk about.
Nothing.
Nothing. Absolutely nothing.
We have plenty to say, but nothing to talk about.
Yeah, which, topical.
Topical, yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah, we're topical.
Yeah, talk about the X-Files, which ended, it should have ended when it did, and then they brought it back, and it sucked.
Yeah, it sucked.
Well, let me phrase it. It didn't suck per se so much as it was just lame. I haven't even seen anything, and I know it's fucking lame.
Oh, are they doing a remake of it right now?
They already did the remake. It ended in 2018.
Yeah.
I think it ran for 2 years, and then everyone stopped watching it because it was bad.
It's got to have something to do with showrunners.
How so?
Well, I mean,
the original guy.
It's like
he nailed it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't.
Carter dude, whatever.
Yeah. What? Chris Carter?
Yeah.
Chris Carter.
So.
Yeah. No, I mean, it just amazes me how. Let's take, for example, American Gods.
Oh, Jesus.
American Gods. I mean, first season, it was a little difficult to grasp at first.
Well, that's Neil Gaiman in a nutshell.
But once you got further along in the series, especially the first season, it began to gel. Mm-hmm. And then...
Then the showrunners, after the first season, they asked for more money, and the studio said no.
Yeah.
And then the showrunners left. Took most of the cast with them.
Well, I mean, that ought to tell money people something. I mean, there's a certain loyalty that...
and season 2 is just high on drugs.
It has been a trash fire ever since.
Yeah.
It is absolutely a dumpster fire ever since. Mm-hmm. It got to a point where it became unwatchable for me personally. I like the guy that played Odin.
Oh, Wednesday. Ian McShane. He's good. The guy playing Shadow is pretty cool.
He's okay. The guy playing the Leprechaun.
He's a fucking trip.
He is a trip. I've seen him in other things, and he does really well. I'm very surprised not to see him in more stuff.
Yeah, no. The original Media, she was fantastic.
Yes.
And then, she was one of the actresses that left along with the showrunners.
Yeah.
And they had to replace her with anime waifu number 345-B. Which she just goes way too hard into it. From what I've seen, she just went way too hard into her role.
Yeah,
over the top.
I mean, I guess...
technology is really cool. Mr. Worldwide or Global, whatever the fuck that guy's name is. Crispin Glover is a creepy motherfucker.
Crispin Glover is
a creepy motherfucker.
Is a creepy motherfucker, yes.
The only time he's not creepy as fuck is in the Back to the Future series. That is literally it.
Yeah.
As,
he was,
George McFly, yeah.
He was uncomfortable.
He was uncomfortable, but
he wasn't like...
But that was the whole point of George McFly, at least initially, was he was this, beaten down nerd.
Yeah. Right. I mean, it fit for that.
Yeah, he was just a nerd from the 50s, which is when you should not have been a nerd.
Right.
Nowadays, it's more acceptable because, hey, guess what? Nerds get the money.
Yeah, nerds get the money.
So now it's more socially acceptable to be into stuff like D&D, Mystery Science Theater, science fiction, yada, yada, yada. But back in the 50s, nah.
Well, to be
man.
perfectly honest, I mean, this type of the whole nerd culture really didn't kick off. It was lurking.
Sure.
Right under the surface.
Obviously.
As I guess it always is.
Trying to stamp it out with the satanic panic of the 70s. And D&D will steal your soul. No, Barbara. You get to play a cleric. And you get to fight demons. How more Christian can you get besides Doom?
You just, It was very unsettling at the time.
Sure.
And once again, the Dungeons and Dragons, it goes back to the whole Celtic mythos.
Yeah.
Dragons and spirits, and I guess here in North America that is probably
a lot more taboo.
Well, I don't know so much as taboo, but it's definitely the only frame of reference that people on this continent really have.
Yeah,
that they've embraced. Now, I'm sure there's a very well established Native American culture underlying those types of stories.
There usually is.
As there are in all cultures.
Oh, yeah.
But not anything that I mean, North America is we are descendant of that whole English influence for obvious reasons.
Yeah.
We're settled by the English and Revolutionary War to get control of this government. I don't know if we've gotten control of the land or the continent, but so far as
yeah, how about that?
As far as not living in that type of situation, so obviously our influences are going to be of English descent, Celtic descent, the whole United Kingdom mythos that comes with being associated with them.
Well, I think part of why now paganism, to my knowledge, it's not 100%. I'm sure paganism is slightly more tolerated in the UK Ireland region.
Well, yeah, I mean that's where it comes from.
Yeah, because that's where it's come from, and it's been around thousands of years. But the people who came from the UK Ireland thing, which we're not talking about.
Not necessarily.
When the people that came over from that island or collection of islands, there's probably a name for a collection of islands.
Sure.
Archipelago. Archipelago. I think that's how you say it. Because the Isle of Man counts. Anyway, basically the people who came over on those ships to colonize America were essentially the equivalent of what is known nowadays as just a bunch of Bible thumpers. These really hardcore, radical Puritans that the English essentially said, how about you leave?
How about you leave? And
then they said, fine, we'll go make our own version of Christianity without the blackjack and hookers and pagans. And then they did.
Yeah.
That, like the movie The Witch, which you have seen a couple months ago.
Yeah.
I saw it, and it was really good as far as a suspenseful horror movie is concerned, but that movie is very accurate. Like, they did a lot of research into how the Puritans functioned and how they spoke.
Right.
Their belief system. Which...
personally, I mean...
I would say is problematic. Not problematic in terms of, like, what would be considered nowadays, like, identity politics, racism, my gender. I would say it's problematic in terms of the spiritual. How it's a... I know nowadays in terms of the North American evangelical type thing, it's purely prosperity gospel. Like Joel Osteen. Where it's, God loves you. He's always gonna love you. Puritanism, the original source, to my knowledge, is like the exact opposite. You see what I'm trying to get
that's a style of doctrine that I disagree with entirely.
Oh, me too. It's like, the two extremes, you got prosperity gospel, which is, the whole... God loves you.
God loves you and wants you to do well.
Yeah.
And then the other side of the coin is...
God hates you. You're an abomination.
You're an abomination.
And only through Christ.
And only through Christ,
Yeah.
And, you don't deserve...
You don't deserve paradise.
You don't deserve paradise. You don't deserve love.
Yeah, you have to beg on your hands and knees for forgiveness. You have to beg on your hands and knees. And that's... for every little thing.
That's honestly and truly so far as...
That is oppression.
That is oppression. It really is, in my opinion. And there is a major...
Yes.
Monotheistic belief system that involves the moon.
Oh, the religion you can't draw their guy.
No, you can't draw their guy.
Yeah.
That their entire, I mean, I've read. I mean, not as thoroughly. I have read their book, not as thoroughly as I have read,
the other book,
the King James. But their entire
I don't care for King James.
Their entire system is based on what you as the individual can do for. I mean, in other words, it's like their.
We're still talking about the religion where you can't draw their guy.
Yeah, they can't draw. You can't draw their guy, and there's this constant. It seems from my perspective,
Mm-hmm.
you know. I'm not saying this is 100% truth. This is just, this is just my take on it.
Yeah.
It seems like they are in this constant groveling. Oh, you're the greatest. We are here to, not. I mean, yes, we're here to serve you, but we're here to constantly beg your benevolence. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
I mean,
that's
thing.
It's kind of the same. That kind of goes hand in hand with that old school Puritanism.
There is a lot of that. You know, it's like, oh, you had a bad day. Ooh, what kind of sin did you commit?
Yeah.
For you to have a bad day.
I
disagree with that entirely.
Yeah, that also relates to that whole karmic wheel type thing.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, in my opinion, it's just bondage.
Indeed. Yeah, it seems that you're just needlessly putting yourself through these mental gymnastics in order to feel better about yourself.
Yeah, mental gymnastics to feel better about yourself.
Well, and also this.
And you can't even enjoy your day.
Yeah.
I mean, I've not lived with, but I have
worked with?
I have worked with and lived among people who are caught up in that type of mindset where I'm worthless, I'm wretched, I don't deserve God's love. And in my opinion, in my observation, in my studies, you just want to beat the hell out of them. I do. I want to slap them around. You know, it's kind of like that. You know, I brought it up before, where there's like,
it's
hey,
like if
man,
you weren't meant to be here, you wouldn't have been here.
How's life treating you, man? They're like, better than I deserve. And I just want to beat the crap out of them. I'm like, oh, okay. Well,
okay, so you want to be mugged on the street.
Exactly. Are you telling me that you're such a terrible person that
don't talk negatively about yourself?
Pain and discomfort. Oh, okay. All right, come here. Whack. Whack.
Don't talk negatively about yourself. Don't try not to talk negatively.
I just don't. I mean,
because the words you speak have power, at least in your brain.
Let's look at this in a completely non-spiritual perspective.
Completely secular.
Completely secular. Who the hell would want to be involved with that type of belief system? Okay, where you're constantly
putting yourself down,
gum on the bottom of the omnipotent, the great omnipotent individual's shoe.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying.
You don't want to do that.
I mean, where's the draw?
I don't know.
You know, I mean, there's people that fall all over themselves to be involved in that sort of thing, and I'm like, honestly, what are you doing?
Honestly,
I mean, it's ridiculous.
Honestly, I think part of the problem, well, maybe not the problem, just maybe the source.
Yeah.
Is, all right, now mind you.
Yes.
I'm not going to name names for obvious reasons.
Because I can't spell them.
Well, not only that, but I don't know if they listen to the podcast or not. They probably don't, but even still, if hypothetically this blows up and it reaches their ears, it's like, oh, I'm in trouble.
Up.
I keep...
Off with your shoe.
Yeah. I keep... Shut up. I keep a mixed company of sorts. Not necessarily people who are dangerous, because I don't associate with those people.
No.
You really shouldn't.
Because most dangerous people are just stupid. And they do dumb stuff.
And the actual smart, dangerous people, more than likely, they're getting paid to do something, being smart and dangerous, and they're not
Most
fucking
smart,
with
dangerous
you.
people, you don't know.
Yeah, exactly.
You don't know
and
that
they're probably not going to be friends with you, Joe Schmo, on the street.
As a general thumb, no.
Yeah.
No, but these people that
there's no secret assassin hitman who's living 2 doors down. His name's Fred. He likes to bake cookies, and it's like, hey, Fred, see you at the bake
he's a
sale.
Closet furry or something.
No, he's like an assassin. It's like Leon from The Professional.
Yeah.
That dude probably exists, but guess what? He's not friends with you.
No, he's not friends with you.
But anyway, I keep a mixed company in terms of people who are similar-minded to us.
True.
People who are not similar-minded to us.
Okay.
People who do believe in, like, the T-posing religion. We mentioned the name earlier.
Yes.
People who believe in the religion of the T.
Yes.
I have only encountered like 2 or 3 people who were of the religion where you can't draw their guy.
Really?
But they didn't pay me no attention.
No.
Because it was dudes.
I've run into...
It was like 13-year-old kids, and it's like,
yeah.
Yeah, we don't have to listen to you.
No.
It's like, okay, you don't count. I'm going to beat the hell out of you with this stick.
Yeah,
I did.
I find it so... there's so many people that... and there's such a subjugation of the whammon in the religion where you can't draw their guy. And I can't...
Well, here's the thing.
It's an... I mean, you experienced it firsthand.
Yes.
When you had those
Yeah,
fellow peers.
I was taking this sword class.
You're taking that fencing class.
Yeah, and these kids, they were like, one was 14, the other was 13, and they're both boys.
They're both boys.
The guy that ran the joint, he put me in charge of the class because he had to take care of something because he was just going through a bunch of life stuff that I don't want to get into.
Lord.
Because...
Yes, he was.
Ugh.
Yes,
I don't hate the guy anymore, but I still want to just go up and punch him in the face. Because it's like, dude, you're fucking stupid.
If you're that smart, why are you doing dumb
you should have
stuff?
just let all of it go. So he basically put me in charge because I was the most experienced one at that time. And I would just, throw out a drill.
Right.
Like you're supposed to.
Right.
Yeah, they wouldn't do it.
No, they wouldn't do it because it was coming from
me.
That sound, the words that you were making, the words that were being heard were from someone
that they did not respect.
At all.
Yeah, and here's the thing.
They had more respect for their household pet.
Yes.
Than they did you.
Yeah, because I was there.
Now, how dare somebody tell me
that's not the case.
That's not the case because that is legit.
That is legit.
Okay, and
I once tried to explain to the guy that was running the place, like, he was like, why are they not doing it? Why are they just standing around and talking to each other while the rest of the other 5 people were doing their drills?
Right.
And now, mind you, the other 4 people didn't speak up when I tried to defend myself from,
Right.
So that was also a dick move. So when I basically tried to tell this guy in as diplomatic a way as humanly possible, which was probably not the best course of action for that dude, because he was not diplomatic.
No.
I probably should have just been straightforward with him, as I'm trying to be right now without the censors.
Right.
I basically told him they don't respect me, so they're not doing what I say.
Right.
He did not care. He basically told me to strike fear into their hearts. And it's like, that's not going to solve anything.
He didn't, he
had no frame of reference.
He was an okay guy?
Yeah, he was. He was a great fencer.
But he clearly had no understanding
he did not.
of the dynamics that were taking place right in front of him.
No. I barely understood what was happening, but I knew better than he. But back to what I was trying to say. No, I agree with that. Back to what I was trying to say is the company I keep, some people are like us, some people are not like us. Some people believe in the religion of T-posing. People believe in the religion of the T. Some people are pagan. I know some people who are pagan. like Celtic pagan, Norse. One is a Wiccan. Don't ask me questions.
That's just a giggle.
Yeah, don't. Yeah, he's recently converted over to Wiccan, so whatever. I don't care.
A guy?
Yes.
A guy Wiccan?
Yes.
Oh, that's funny.
Don't ask questions.
No.
I know Wicca is predominantly female
It
oriented.
is.
But
it's
does
like
happen.
kick you in the shin, female. I mean,
yeah,
and I'm not saying pro or con, but that's just the way it is.
Yeah, that's just the way it is.
So if you look behind him, there's usually a chick that's got him in an arm.
No,
really?
He's actually got a boyfriend.
Oh, somebody's mom's involved. Well,
I don't know.
Go. There you go.
I don't know.
He's got a boyfriend? Yeah, somebody's mom is involved.
Yeah. All I know is all of us play D&D together, and that's how I talk to these folk. Because otherwise it's like, what other opportunity am I going to get? And there's this one particular compatriot of mine, the Norse pagan.
The Norse pagan.
Who, without getting into a lot of details, basically is involved in, how did Mycroft on Sherlock put it? Recreational scolding.
Recreational scolding.
Yes.
Does this involve?
Yes.
Oh, well.
He does that. And based on the conversations I've had with him, it's been a true learning experience, I must admit. Well, with all of them.
Sure.
Because I believe in talking to everyone.
Yeah.
Different politics, religions, walks of life. Because they might have a nugget, just a little itty bitty golden nugget of information that you missed out on, and once you receive this nugget of information, it alters your life for the better.
Yeah.
Or at the very least, it helps you avoid some dumb shit.
Yeah.
This is why you still talk to idiots, because they'll do dumb stuff, and you'll go, "Oh, I'm not doing that."
Oh, I'm not doing that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I like to do that. I like to talk with everyone. I might get into a little story a little bit later, but based on the conversations I've had with him, I think there are just some people in this world that, in one form or another, they just want to be in that mindset of being locked down by something.
You mean oppressed?
Yes.
Really?
Yes. Be it with the recreational scolding, be it a mental framework, be it a religion.
Well, see, we can go back to that.
I feel like there are just some people who are built that way, where they have to be without using a more concise term. Some people are they're just built to be dominated.
Yes.
Does that make sense?
That might be.
This also might be why these things are so prevalent. Because you look at them and go, why would you do this? Why would you choose?
Why would you choose? Exactly. Why would you choose?
Because we're not like that.
No.
I want to go out and live my life.
I don't want to hurt anybody. I don't want to be dominated, but I don't want to go out and necessarily dominate another person.
Exactly.
I mean, it isn't a checklist that I have to.
No.
That I have to click,
But if you had to, put your boot to someone's throat to get them to do something they're supposed to, at your job,
it would be
situational.
It would be situational. No, it wouldn't be something that I sought out.
No.
It would be something that would be sprung upon me that I would just handle in a certain way.
Yeah, but I think some people, they're just designed that way. Hence why these particular frameworks still exist.
That's a good point. I mean, there are, that might be the foundational, that might be the foundation of people who are involved in the religion of T-posing that I grew up in, and why they embrace, and I mean embrace, such such an ideal of, I'm worthless.
Yes.
I don't deserve more. I deserve less.
I believe
I'm only going to be satisfied for me to receive less or to receive abuse or that sort of thing. It might well, like, once again, I've always I'm that nature. I'm that nurture over nature. I think there are things that are definitely. I do believe in
both elements do have play.
I do believe that both elements have play.
Now, whether or not one has more influence over the other is kind of it's more of a personal experience. Yeah, I believe that whole people talking about how worthless they are and all that stuff. I believe that is what is known as a degradation, but I don't want to get into that conversation.
No, I don't want to get into it either because there's always some kind of weird
angle.
Some kind of weird angle, some kind of sexual connotation.
What doesn't?
What doesn't?
That's how we survive.
That to me is so. I mean,
but no, I understand what you mean. It's
born to win, born to lose.
Yeah.
That sort of thing. I don't believe in. There's one thing to feel that way. It's another thing to embrace a faith, or a belief system that perpetuates that type of ideology. I don't. I don't find it. If you don't want to believe you're the greatest, that's fine.
Sure.
The truth is somewhere in the middle.
Sure.
Yeah.
But to believe that you're basically a waste of skin,
I think that type of
mentality.
Awful.
Yeah, that type of mentality deserves to be taken out and executed in a cornfield somewhere.
Well, I mean, there are people that perpetuate that type of ideology, and I am not a fan at all. And I try to give people their space.
Sure.
When it comes to what they want to believe, that allows them to be, I don't know, productive citizens, I guess.
Sure, whatever.
But that type of thing just drives me off my nut. I mean, I don't understand how you could embrace such a thing. In my lowest point.
Yeah. Which we all have those. Where I am literally staring at the barrel of a weapon to end it all. I never thought. Matter of fact, that might have been what saved me. Is because if I had thought I deserved that type of end, I maybe would have followed through. Sure.
But I didn't believe that I deserved that type of end. And that might be what pulled me back from it.
Fair enough. Hey, that happens.
It happens. I mean, it does. I mean, life can overwhelm us all.
And that's normal. Yeah. If anyone is just struggling really hard, it's normal.
It's normal. Okay. What you don't realize is that you've isolated yourself. No one understands the world like I do. No one sees the world like I do. You have isolated yourself in your own mind. And it happens. I've been there. I'm not judging.
No.
I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm just saying that
it happens.
It happens.
Yes.
I don't believe that's called a death wish. I don't believe that a death wish is natural. I believe that something needs to be done.
All right, Charles Bronson.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, I'm going to tell you something. You want to sit down and talk about something, man. We could talk about Death Wish 4.
Man, fuck that movie.
The greatest.
It's just something to lighten the mood.
There's the top 5 worst movies of all time.
Something like that.
What's that one that you're familiar with? The Room.
The Room. Oh, Jesus Christ.
Okay, let me tell you something. Death Wish 4 is in that top 5.
Ugh.
I mean, it's so bad. It's so bad.
Ugh.
It's so bad. But yeah, I mean, when I was younger, I had a little less patience, a little less forgiveness, a little less compassion. I did.
Sounds like me.
And I think I don't think it's an individual thing. I think you're just young and you're strong, and you come into contact with people who are not young and strong, and you go, oh, what's their problem? What's wrong with them? But you don't realize, and it took me being alive long enough.
Yeah.
to understand that it's kind of like rowing across the ocean.
Mm-hmm.
When you get to the other side,
Yeah.
of course you're going to be tired.
True.
Of course you're going to be. Of course you're going to have you spent so much time working and so much effort into getting to where you are and what you have, that you begin to have compassion for others. When you're young, everything seems to spin in a very specific, straight way. When you're younger, things are more black and white, less gray, and as you get older, that's where the gray areas come into play.
Yeah.
I had to get to a point where, it's kind of like it's easy to see yourself as very powerful when you don't need help.
Sure.
You don't need assistance. But there will come a day that you will.
Yeah.
Something as simple as, I can carry all these groceries out to my car, or I can leave them in the shopping cart and push the cart all the way to my car. I know this sounds like a peculiar oversimplification, but I assure you it's true.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is, especially when you're younger, dynamic. Let's do dynamic.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the problem has
it's
a
not
negative.
A problem.
It's not necessarily.
It just happens.
It's just it's just like it's just wind. It's something that happens. You have you don't need if you're strong when you're young, you don't need any help, and so it's easy to kind of look down upon those who do. But eventually,
yeah,
you will need assistance. And that's what age does to us, and age will give you compassion that you didn't have in your youth.
Mm-hmm.
You just get to a point where you realize that it's really not that big of a deal.
Yeah.
Whether you carry all the groceries or you push the cart.
As long as the groceries get from point A to point B.
As long as they get from point, that's what matters. And I personally have been a victim. Well, I'm not going to say a victim. You get into this ego-driven life.
Yes.
Where you judge yourself based on how well you do something.
Mm-hmm.
And that is, you can't find peace in an effort, and it's just like a race. What a lot of people don't understand is that it's more important to do whatever you do to do it as well as you can.
Yeah.
Okay. It may not be better than what somebody else does.
Sure.
Because you have to find peace with that.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that.
And not tear yourself down when you have to redefine the parameters that you've been judging yourself and measuring yourself. That's what time will do. It'll give you the opportunity, and honestly and truly, it's very, especially if I wasn't my household and my culture that I came out of really wasn't ego driven. But then I started to excel on the sports.
Yeah.
I began to excel in sports, and it brought me glory in a way that
you really hadn't had before.
I definitely had never had on that level. I mean, you go from just some schmo that nobody knows to there's almost, I mean, for lack of a better description, it's almost like a rock star. To excel in sports in a certain way in certain places. And then you get caught up in that ego-driven life where everything is, you realize that for you to do this better than anybody else, or faster than anybody else, stronger than anybody else, and you draw power from that. But what you don't realize is, I mean, you may be aware of it, but you don't embrace it. Is there's going to be a transition to the point there will come a day that you cannot operate on that level, and that's a universal thing.
Yeah,
that's not a failure.
That just happens.
That just happens.
Yeah.
It's just like the difference between a brand new car and a car that's got 300,000 miles on it. It does. It's not better, not necessarily better or worse. It's just that, the older vehicle has got more wear and tear on it, and it can't perform as well as something straight off the showroom floor.
Yeah, because it's got 300,000 miles on it.
300,000 miles on it.
What did you expect?
Well, I mean, you have to change. You go from me personally, you go from being able to physically awe everybody to mentally awe everybody. You have to if the only way you judge yourself is, and we also talk about, we've talked about this especially since you came into the world. You can't,
because I exist.
Because you exist. You have to be careful about putting too much emphasis on, say, physical beauty.
Yeah.
You have to be really careful.
Especially for a chick.
Especially for a chick. That's unfortunate. Women are socialized in a completely different way. People want to tie that up into religion, which I think is unfortunate. It's like, oh, you people that believe in T-posing, you like to keep your women, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, so is the religion that, so is the religion where you can't draw their guy. What are you talking about,
their guy.
Jim?
And the religion where you can't draw their guy, those women never get out from under that.
No.
They never get out from under that.
Or if they do, they have to basically make a break for it.
They have to break a break for it, or they have to, honestly and truly, I mean, even if the husband of the couple say were to pass on,
she doesn't get anything.
She doesn't get anything.
I've actually seen news reports. Now, mind you, these are few and far between. Yeah. Enough to the point where I think they're getting suppressed.
Right.
But now with the whole transgender surgeries breakthroughs. Kind of a weird segue, but trust me, it ties in.
Uh-huh.
Now this is like, now mind you, this is the biggest big brain move, possibly of the century, the early century.
Big brain move.
Yeah, like the big smart move of
the 21st century.
Of the early 21st century.
Well. Yeah.
Up until we figure out how to colonize Mars, I guess. I don't know. Anyway, no, we'll get to there eventually.
You're gonna get me talking about something else.
Yeah, I know. Shush.
Shush.
Okay, so basically the whole segue is because the advance in medical technology and medicine in general, and all that stuff, I have seen a good number. To the point where I think you don't hear about this anymore because no one wants to talk about it because it's working. I have seen news stories where women who are involved in the religion of where they don't draw their guy.
Right.
They take these medical transition surgeries to be a guy. And then they automatically get the status of their male counterparts because their book doesn't say anything about that surgery. So they figured out a life hack to get out from under it.
That's awful.
Exactly.
That's awful.
It has to take...
If you don't want to be treated like a second-class citizen, you got to have surgery? That's ridiculous.
Yes, that is ridiculous. I have seen it still happening to my knowledge, and it's like, and I just have to look at this and go, do you guys not see a problem with that? The fact that droves of these people are doing this to avoid what you're talking about? it's not that they're unfaithful to their deity, because they're
Man,
not.
that's tough.
They're just sick of being second-class citizens
I'm
on
telling
this
you,
earth.
there is something. You know, something. I had a question occur to me 2 days ago, and it was, did the term? Okay, we are currently in the 21st century.
Yes.
Okay.
It is 2021.
It is 2021. All right. I was born in the 20th century.
Yes.
Okay.
So was I.
So were you. All right. So, and that's in the 1900s.
Yes.
That's the 20th century. So, the 1800s
Yes.
is the 19th century.
Yes.
Did the term racist or racism exist prior to the 19th century?
It may not have, I want to say that it may not have existed as that word, but I would suggest it may have existed in a different form. And
I'm sure it did.
My only evidence to that point I bring up is when the South and North American countries were initially being colonized.
Right.
Obviously, you had the Spaniards, the French, and the
1500s,
English.
1600s.
Give or take in there.
Give or take.
Now, here's the thing. Back in those days, if someone was a heathen,
Yeah.
in terms of the globe, in terms of the T-posing religion,
Right. Technically a pagan.
in those times, you could theoretically convert and save them. Theoretically, you could show them the light, so to speak,
And once
and
they
redeem them, and then they become your allies and
they
compatriots,
become
your equals.
Your equal.
Yes.
Yes, you are absolutely right. There was a
But-
time if you converted,
You became their equals.
you became their equal. Yes.
But
Yes.
But when these colonizers were coming to the Americas, and obviously in other places of the world, but this is just the example I'm laying out, they did not
Right.
refer to the native populace as heathens, even though technically, in terms of the T-posing religion, they were.
Yeah.
They referred to them as the savages. I threw something across the room. They referred to them as savages,
Right.
which, in the context of, at least back then, essentially labeled them as to be exterminated. There was no hope. There was no saving a savage.
Really?
Completely beyond redemption.
Huh.
The only redemption that they would find is in the afterlife, and more than likely, they wouldn't receive it if they were a savage.
Right. Huh.
This is also, I think, part of the reason why they did that is, one, if you converted the native populace, they became your equals, and you
Right.
wanted their land, and their possessions, and their gold,
Resources.
and their resources.
Resources. Yeah.
So
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
a lot easier to dehumanize the native populace to take their shit, rather than to convert them, and then they're their equals, and now you have to negotiate
Well, that's the
with
difference.
them.
That's the difference between government and religion.
Indeed.
Okay. Religion, believe it or not, for the most part,
Yeah.
believes that people can be redeemed.
At least they should say
It is that secular aspect of government
Yeah. They didn't do it for
that causes them to exterminate people.
Yeah. Yeah, if you're basically touting yourself as pious and religious, but you're basically trying to usurp the resources of someone else's land and property, that's not being pious or religious. That is pure economics, which is a government section.
Oh, that's purely exploitation.
It's
There's
also
nothing
pure- yeah.
spiritual about that at
No,
all.
it's not spirit. It's not. You may use religion as a mask,
Right.
but it's just pure exploitation.
And that's the whole, and that is one
God
of the
is
things.
not commanding you to take these people's lives and their land and their women and their children. That
Right.
should not.
Absolutely.
No.
Let's go. Let's pull it out. Okay. The phrase "manifest destiny" was propagated
It was propaganda.
by the government.
Yes.
Okay?
That's not a spiritual thing.
They used a
they used religious iconography to propagate going west and driving the Sioux and the Mohawks and all the others off their land.
And today, people will look back on the term manifest destiny, and they only involve some type of religious organization or some type of...
They basically turned religion into a patsy.
Yeah. When it's actually, it was the government that was pushing manifest destiny. It might have got preached from the pulpit, but it didn't start there.
No, it did not start there.
It did not start there.
Could not have started there.
And it was not powered by that. It was, and you know, I know there's a lot of people today that put a lot of faith. Their God is government.
Yes.
Okay, that's it. Okay, that the King James is very clear about putting your faith in things of this world and people of this world and entities of this world. And the governments of today, they've completely shaped the narrative that people involve themselves in when they look back on that manifest destiny. Everybody always wants to drag the church of T-posing into it and say you people are bad because you push this up. But this was being pushed by the government.
Yeah, they just turned religion into a patsy, like I said.
They just turned religion into a patsy. They knew that a lot of people had those types of ties, and they found the language. They created the narrative.
And they pushed it.
Yeah. That's it.
But the reason I bring up that colonization story is I remember sometime in college, I took in American English class, and in that American English class, it talked about, here's the thing. In British literature, the British lit class, we read the Canterbury Tales, Shakespeare, King Lear, you know, all that stuff.
Right.
But here's the thing. England, that island has existed for probably 1,000 years. They've had time to make up some pretty interesting stuff.
I guess since William the Conqueror, which was
give or take,
1055.
Yeah, give or take a couple decades.
Somewhere in there.
Yeah, give or take a couple decades. But here's the thing: they've had 1,000 years to write and get their stories out and about, and make some pretty interesting ones as well. America, especially North America, they've only existed for like 200, about to be 300 soon.
250 years.
Give or take, yeah.
Give or take.
Yeah.
Officially 1776.
Shit,
so 1976 was the bicentennial, which was 200 years.
Ow.
So yeah, about 250.
Yeah. But I mean like the entire continent in general.
Right.
Like, I mean, when the Pilgrims landed to now.
What was that, 16?
Somewhere in there.
The
reason I mention that is because in American lit...
We've been to Plymouth Rock, by the way.
Shit, I know. I remember vaguely. The reason I bring that up is because in American lit, initially it was written about the initial parts of the class. It wasn't stories like in British literature. It was writings from people who landed on Plymouth Rock, recordings of native stories, like origin stories,
right?
Like transcribed, tales of how the world was created, how corn was made, or stuff like that.
Sure.
Why they hunt this particular animal, why they quote unquote worship this particular type of spirit, or they don't worship this particular type of spirit, stuff like that.
Right.
And, it took a couple of weeks to actually get into the actual fictional parts. But before we got to the fictional parts, I remember there was like a little paper, and I have to track this down, because it's the only thing I've seen Because all we've ever heard was, oh, the colonizers came over, they called all the native savages, and they killed them with weapons and with advanced weaponry and biotechnology. Or bioweaponry.
Yes.
Intentionally or otherwise.
Intentionally or otherwise.
It happened. Smallpox is a bitch. Yeah.
Here's a blanket.
Yeah. Hey.
I'm just saying.
Hey. Anyway. But this one particular essay, per se, I think it was an essay of sorts. Right. It was written from, I believe it was either, it had to have been a missionary that wrote this, or a priest, at least.
Probably.
I think it was a Spanish.
In those days, it was people involved in the church.
Yes.
That could read and write.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this had, but the reason I say that they had to have been some kind of missionary,
right, is
because they were completely against the treatment that they had heard about of what was happening to the native populace in the Americas.
Right.
This is where this argument I say about heathen versus savage comes from. Is this person said, you call them savages, that means they cannot be redeemed, and that is wrong. You would have to call them heathens or pagans, because then, by the grace of God, can they be saved.
Right.
And you don't want to do that. This guy basically completely dismantled what was happening in the Americas, but we don't talk about this particular essay.
No.
Like, I can't even remember who wrote it, or what nationality, or what their connection to what was happening in the Americas back then was, but that's what I remember. You call them savages, they cannot be redeemed. If you call them pagans, they can be redeemed.
Right.
It was this particular essay where I remember that argument.
Right.
Because it made sense.
Well,
in context of this historical document, of course.
Yeah. Well, that's what I mean. People, I'm not trying for the extermination of another group of people.
Mm-hmm.
As rule of thumb,
yeah,
that has more to do with government than it does religion.
Yeah, I guess it depends.
Because who has the power?
Mm-hmm.
You understand?
Well, what if the religion is the government?
Well, I mean that's another thing that people don't consider. I mean, 200 years ago, especially
the Holy
Europe,
Roman Empire.
200 years ago, 500 years ago. Definitely the older time frame that you talk about.
Yeah.
There were more theocracies.
Yes.
Yeah. And
I'm just saying
that's just the way it was structured.
I'm just saying religion and government have the ability to sanction a genocide.
Yeah. Well, here's the power of what it does,
Mm-hmm.
Especially in the religion of T-posing, is it has evolved
Mm-hmm.
into what it is today.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not perfect.
No.
But there is this element that will entertain. There's a fundamental fairness. Okay, we're human beings.
Mm-hmm.
We're all God's children.
All that stuff. Yes.
And that is. I know everybody wants to. They want to have a bad taste in their mouth about religion, but they'll embrace government, and government is the one that potentiates and propagates that type of let's eliminate someone outside of our circle, or outside of our community.
Yeah, they will typically they'll just pick a particular group to focus on and hammer them just for any other reason.
It's like
to unite the populace.
It's like, okay, all right. It's like the Sioux in the Dakotas.
Yes.
Okay, all right. Everything was cool until gold was found on their land.
Yeah.
Now, that didn't have anything to do with religion.
No, that's not a religious
Absolutely,
thing.
Positively, not one iota.
That is an economic thing.
Iota.
Mm-hmm.
Not one iota of it had anything to do with religion.
Mm-hmm.
This is why the government allowed people to go onto Indian land, to mine, to live, to push the Native Americans onto reservations because, of course, just like any other place, They were the people that lived in that area. Obviously, they're going to choose the best place to live.
Yeah.
Because that takes time. You have to figure that out over time.
Yeah.
And once they discovered gold in the Black Hills,
it was over.
It was over.
Yes.
Okay, and that didn't have anything to do with religion. Now,
no.
They may have brought religion in
sure.
to try to control the natives or the native population or whatever, but ultimately that had to do with the government.
Yes, I know.
Okay, they were the ones that set these rules up. They were the ones that allowed treaties to be broken. Didn't have anything to do with religion.
Mm-hmm. I know.
But religion gets the blame.
Yes.
That's unfortunate. Because it's a lie.
Yes.
That's why people there are people that are very unsettled in their lives. They're unsettled in their culture.
Yeah.
They're unsettled in their community. Mm-hmm. That's because the narrative that they are basing their belief system on is a lie.
Yeah.
And if the foundation of what you participate in, how you view the world, your worldview, if it is a falsehood, you will never find peace.
No.
You will never find peace.
No.
Okay. All right. That's just it. It's that simple. Mm-hmm. Okay. If you are involved in something where and it's been going on your entire life.
Yes.
I can't find any peace. I can't find any peace. It's been 10 years. It's been 20 years. It's been 30 years. It's been 40 years. It's something some foundational element of how you see the world is off. And you need to figure out what that is. Mm-hmm. Okay.
I will say this, in terms of the religion of T-posing, at least in this half of the North Americas.
Yeah.
Sometimes they don't help themselves.
No, they don't help themselves.
That's the other.
I'm not going.
Here's the thing.
I'm gonna disagree with that. No, they don't help themselves.
Here's the thing. It's one thing for the government and various other institutions, obviously, to set up religion as the patsy, especially the government and the scientific community.
It's real easy to do.
And it's really easy.
It's very easy.
Because it's like, ooh, we have measured results, and you have fucking magic or some shit.
Yeah, exactly.
You believe in this thing that technically doesn't exist because we can't measure it with our instruments and all that stuff. Whatever.
Right.
Whatever thing you want to throw out there.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. It's one thing for that to happen, but modern day T-posing, they don't help themselves in that regard. You know, be it the constant prosperity teaching, the, I'm so worthless, I'm, an ant.
There's like I said, there's these extremes where the truth is somewhere in the middle. It sounds kind of Zen-ish, it's in the truth.
I mean, that is why I study Zen.
But
at least for meditative purposes, Jesus.
But
it's like, It just drives me insane, because it's just like, okay, I want to feel bad for you because you're constantly getting the other end of the stick.
Right.
Because it's easy.
Yeah.
You're the easy target.
You are the easy target.
But you don't do anything to help yourself not be the easy target.
Yeah.
It's like the primary options is a cult.
Right.
Which is just so whacked out insane, you don't want to bother with it anyway.
True.
Like, I remember there was like, you know how the matriarch likes to watch these true crime stuff?
Yes.
I remember catching a glimpse. I don't even know what the problem was. It was obviously like a murder, like a cold case murder file thing or whatever.
Yeah.
Where there was like a particular, I don't know how big or how small this branch is. It probably was an actual cult. I don't know. Where, it's like they do believe in the Bible, and here's the thing, that what I'm about to say is going to sound like the dumbest fucking thing if you believe in the religion of T-posing, or at least you've had a passing glance at the religion of T-posing.
Right.
But this thing actually happened. People have believed this, or do believe it. I want to meet someone who believes what I'm about to say, and I'm like, hey, can I talk to you? Are you okay? Do you need some water? Do you need a nap?
Do you need a nap?
Do you want to get in the forever box?
Do you need a hug?
Yeah. It was something about this little excerpt of this true crime show that she was watching. I caught. It was something about like the dad or something was trying to convince his kid or his this younger person to commit a murder. And
Really?
wait for it.
Okay.
And it was something to do, like I said, I didn't catch all details, but it was something to do with the fact that a part of their belief system was, yes, Jesus did die for all of our sins, except
Yeah.
some people were born with more sin than others, and then they had to die in order to continue the blessing that Jesus had performed. I can see the look on your face. The listeners can't see the look on your face. That's yes.
What? You gotta break
Yes.
that down a little bit.
Okay. This is the dumbest thing.
There's a lot of dumb stuff out there.
Yeah, this is like the dumbest thing I have heard in a good long time in terms of the religion of T-posing. And that's saying a lot.
They can get a little carried away. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. I don't mind getting carried away because, you know, different people have different interpretations. And it's like, okay, I don't have to agree with this. And then there's like the far out of the ballpark where it's like, how did you...
Yeah.
What?
No, there are some of that. I mean,
Kind of like Scientology and the Mormons.
yes.
Where it's like, what happened?
It's like
How
you
much peyote? How much peyote? I'm not gonna ask how much did you smoke or ingest. I'm just gonna ask how much.
How much?
Like it took place. I want to know the quantity. Except for Scientology, where they based all their stuff after a science fiction author, but I don't want to get into that because
Oh my
they
God.
scared the shit out of me.
Jeez.
Here's the thing. I don't mind the really extreme portions of the religion where you can't draw their guy, because they're pretty easy to spot.
That is true.
For the most part.
For the most part.
And you can kind of avoid them, but the Scientologists, they scare the piss out of me. Because here's the thing, it's one thing to have something guided by a potential benevolent or malevolent deity.
Right.
But the thing is, with those guys, you just have to follow the rules to avoid them.
Yeah.
You know. Scientologists, there's no rules, because it's made up by some crackpot. Hubbard. Science fiction author. It's like, okay, there are no rules. Because we're talking about aliens and shit. But I don't want to get too deep into it.
No.
Because I want to go back to the dumb shit I was already talking about.
Well, then, you know, it's kind of like a lot of things. Money gets involved.
Yeah, that's kind of the
like,
biggest thing. Yeah, it's kind of the biggest thing.
Yeah.
But it was something to do with the fact that... It was something to do with the fact that Jesus died, you know, the cold case solved murder thing, going back to that.
Yeah.
It was something to do with the fact that, yes, Jesus did die for all of our sins, but some people were less worthy than others, and they had to die so that their sins could be cleansed from the earth. Because apparently Jesus didn't get everybody.
Well...
You understand what I'm trying to get to?
Right.
They're basically this guy was trying to convince.
When you create the narrative,
what I just said.
You can get very weird.
Yeah. It was basically their whole belief system was essentially boiled down. Jesus didn't die for everybody.
Right.
Didn't do that.
And
he was
can't.
And I'm just like, oh, that's just pure manipulation right there.
I mean, so far as anything to do with the religion associated with the New Testament, I can't think of. That is the one.
That's the one.
That's the one foundational principle of the entire belief system. And if you don't believe that, then you need to believe something else.
Yes.
I mean, that's the one thing you don't get to change.
That's the one verse that everybody knows.
If you want to talk about what people do on a daily basis or their interaction with other human beings, that's fine.
Whatever.
But that's the one thing that if you don't believe...
That's non-negotiable.
That's non-negotiable.
That is
It's just
100%
right.
non.
It's not even debatable.
Exactly.
And the fact that you would debate it, man, that's pretty rough.
Yeah, I did not see the end result of whatever that cold case, mystery, true crime, murder things
Well,
was.
I mean,
but just the sheer fact that mentality, that belief system, that doctrine exists.
That mentality and doctrine exists in all aspects of society.
Jesus.
That's one of the things that's driving politics right now.
How so?
Because everybody's kind of trying to dehumanize the other side.
Oh yeah, that is true.
That's how we can treat people. I don't care whether your pigmentation is elevated or not.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't care if you were born with
what, a tail?
A tail or whatever equipment you were born with.
Yeah.
I'm gonna tell you something right now, and this is so simple, people.
Mm-hmm.
When you are involved in any kind of movement, I don't care if it's religion, secular, non-secular, non-religious, whatever your terminology is, when you get into a position where you are entertaining the very idea of dehumanizing people that disagree with you, you are wrong. That's it. There is no discussion. There is no debate.
You can think the other side is stupid.
You can think the other side is stupid. You can think
call
them
stupid.
You can call them stupid. You can call them ignorant. But
there is a difference between saying and calling someone stupid versus they're evil.
Versus they're evil or dehumanizing them and thinking they should die.
Yes.
Okay. If
you are
involved, and I see a bunch of it in politics now. I used to see it in religion only. It is just in the last 20 years,
20-ish years.
20-ish years for me personally that I have seen people in politics and related to these type of national narratives to see the other side as less than human and they should die and go away. You are on the, I don't care who it is and I don't care what's going on.
Yeah.
If you see the other side of the fence as less human than you and they should die, you are on the wrong path. 100%. Write it down. Put my name next to it. I don't care. You are out of bounds, individual. If you see the other side of the fence is less than human and they should die. That's exactly what happened in the 1930s in Germany. That is exactly what gave the Third Reich and Hitler and the entire population and not all, but and a large group of the population of Germany in the late 1930s is basically what created World War II.
Yeah.
You saw the other side. They saw themselves as, once again, here we go, the master race. So people don't understand what master race means. Master race means that you see yourself as human. Okay. And
versus everybody else.
If you don't, what people don't understand, it's the meaning of this phrase, master race. What they're saying is, if you're not a member of the master race,
you're not human.
You're not human.
And that is dangerous.
And that's very dangerous, and it's very wrong.
And that stupid shit is happening today.
And there's people's lives. There are people that are embracing this ideal.
And it's just going to destroy innocent lives.
It's just going to destroy innocent lives.
And it's just going to be a huge travesty.
And there's nothing that's going to be solved by it.
No.
It's not good. People's life.
This is basically what we're saying, listeners. You can think, we may not agree, talking to the listeners. Right. We may not have to agree on everything, but if there is one thing we, as Bel-E and Scratch, want to get across, we do not believe, condone, or even entertain the thought you should not spill innocent blood.
Should not spill innocent blood.
Okay. And it doesn't matter on what side of the fence it is.
Doesn't matter.
Whole thing of like a couple years ago, there was like a cop that ran. He like pulled over a van, and he pulled over some kind of SUV, and for some reason or another took a shot at the car. Fired at the car, and the bullet went through and killed, like, the kid that was in the back seat.
Right.
That's not cool.
That's not cool.
That dude needs to be buried under the prison.
Right.
Or even better, a better example. Because this dude has got to be buried under the prison by now.
Right.
A couple years ago, somewhere either in Georgia or maybe it was actually South Carolina, I don't remember, but somewhere in the southeast, there was that cop where I don't know what happened.
Yeah.
I don't know why it happened, but the fact that it happened is just mind-blowing.
Right.
For some reason, there was a dark melanin-skinned fellow. For some reason, I don't remember all the details. It's been a couple of years.
Right.
He ran away. He ran, which you should never do, regardless.
Anyway.
But he did.
But he did.
A cop took out his pistol and shot him 8 times in the back.
In the back while he was running away.
Like a coward.
And I guarantee you, this
this
individual probably was
had to have been a sociopath.
I understand, but he was probably a fine, upstanding individual in his community. Probably attended church every weekend. Whatever his choice of church venue was. Whatever.
Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. And you know what? And I remember when that happened. And for me,
there was actually police footage of this happening.
It's ridiculous.
He didn't say stop police.
I mean, the guy just takes off and he just pulls a gun out. He just gunned him down like he was a dog in the street.
Yeah, he didn't say stop police or you're under arrest. He didn't call for backup. Like, hey, we have a blankety blank male, blankety blank age, running away.
It's not like the guy had killed like a nursery school full of kids.
No.
All right. I don't know exactly what the complaint was, but it wasn't anything.
He could have fired a warning shot. But no, he shot him 8 times in the back.
I can't even
strolled up to the body.
I can't even fit into my head the mentality that would allow somebody to make that decision.
He had to have been some kind of sociopath.
Yeah, but here's the dangerous thing. See, the sociopathic aspect of it gives you a rational reason why it happened, so you can sleep at night. But the fact that I don't think he was a sociopath, what I'm trying to understand is the narrative that was put into this individual from an early age, obviously.
Had to have been.
That you think that you could pull a gun and kill somebody in cold blood like that.
A person.
An individual, exactly, because...
it's not like you're shooting a deer or a bear.
Right, it's not like, I mean, hey, even if, it's like, joyriding a stolen car. Even if you were to pull a gun and gun down an animal in the street, there is still,
there's
all
weight.
Life is precious.
Yes.
But he gunned down another human being and obviously didn't see this individual as a human being.
Clearly, because 8 times?
8 times?
Once, twice would have been like...
His life was not...
No, his life was not in danger.
His life was not in danger.
He just pulled a gun out, fired 8 times into his back.
Although government and religion can play a part in how that shapes a person's belief system, I don't...
That's where the nurture comes in, what you mentioned earlier.
Right, I don't understand. Excuse me, exactly how you can make that transition.
I don't know.
It's crazy.
I will say this. The one thing about that whole circus, and it was a fucking circus.
It was a circus.
It was a fucking disgrace. Whole
that
thing.
Guy, and I'm going to tell you something as somebody who lives in the geographical area, near the geographical area where that incident took place.
Yeah.
The fact that guy hasn't been walked into a death chamber.
He wasn't?
He's still alive as far as I know.
Is he in jail?
Yes.
Okay,
nothing. Okay, that dude, that individual.
Like I said, he should be buried underneath the prison.
The fact that, the fact that, they arrested him straight away, and he's obviously on death row somewhere.
Probably.
But, I mean, you can't...
I know.
But, people say, don't you dehumanize someone to talk about, them going to the gas chamber, the electric chair, something like that?
If they've already killed someone in cold blood.
That's a crime. That is a heinous crime to the nth degree.
Yeah.
Okay. I for the life of me, I can't understand why this individual is still breathing. That act was so heinous.
Mm-hmm.
And even people who, I mean, all across my social circle,
Yeah.
based on my personal characteristics,
Yes.
all believe the same way I do.
That he should be buried underneath the
That he
prison.
should be buried underneath the prison.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I will say this: in the midst of this entire fiasco, this circus around this particular incident,
Yeah.
they interviewed the officer's wife.
Really?
Yes,
Oh,
like
poor
they
lady.
got her on camera,
Ah.
and she was like, "I had no idea. He, not my husband, or whatever the guy's name is, not my husband. I would never suspected he would have done such a thing. If I was her, I would have thrown his ass under the bus.
I don't see how you can't.
I would have said, I wanted to speak up, but I was afraid he was going to kill me too.
If that was true.
Yeah, if it was true.
If that was true.
Yeah.
But ultimately,
Here's the thing. She's the only person who would have known otherwise, because she lived with the guy.
She did live with. I'm gonna tell you something, and I know it sounds foreign, but it's
yes.
It is. It's a lot easier than you think to live with somebody and not know them, because the one person that other individual is trying to hide themselves from is you.
Yes.
Because they see you every day.
Yeah.
And then you're the other, you only be on the other side of that fence. You're looking at yourself going, I made a very formal decision to be with this person, to have them in my life, and then they pull a stunt
like that.
Yeah,
this is
and
why
you don't want to, because I'm gonna tell you something, because you think that you're as big of a monster as they are.
Yeah. Or at the very least, you definitely think you're a complete idiot for not seeing
obviously. But it's the best thing to do is just to say, you know what?
I messed up.
I messed up. I didn't
realize my husband was a monster.
This individual that I chose formerly to spend the rest of my life with was a monster.
Mm-hmm.
I get it.
Yeah.
That would be the easiest way to
just own up to it.
Just own up to it. And
which is
honestly
hard.
and truly, there we go again. Who you're going to blame?
Yeah.
You're going to blame the perpetrator or the victim?
Yeah, always.
She's technically a victim.
Yeah, always blame the perpetrator. I don't know what this dumb shit is about blaming them. Actually, I do know what this dumb shit is about.
Everybody's, it's like, how come you didn't know? Well,
how about we put the blame on the officer who's still alive?
Yeah, how about we just put the blame where it belongs, and that's on the person who performed this heinous act.
Actually, kind of a little segue. I do actually know what's up with the whole victim blaming going on.
Sure.
Because it's something, if you're observant, you catch it.
Yeah, you do. You
see
run into it. Yeah,
all the time.
All the time.
All the time. Like seriously, dude?
Really?
Yeah, really?
Yeah, I know. It's
really?
Like, what?
Really?
Yeah.
Like you caught the guy in handcuffs and yet you're giving the other person shit because they found themselves in this particular predicament. Like, maybe it wasn't their fault, bro.
Well.
But I know why.
People aren't that smart.
Well, yeah, people aren't that smart. I know that.
They really aren't.
That's part of it. Here's the thing. Here's the thing. In psychology, there's a word for it, or a phrase for it. I don't remember the exact phrase.
Bafangul?
No.
All right.
Never say good luck on opening night.
Uh-huh.
But, what I remember it is called, like, the Just World Theorem, or something like that. Just World is somewhere in the title.
I know what you're talking about.
It's because I told you like 50 times ever since I learned it, because I'm just like, man, there's a word for it.
Cool.
And basically, psychology, I don't know how much merit this carries anymore, but I have no reason to suspect that it's changed, because the DMSO 5 or whatever. The latest Bible of psychology. You know what I'm talking about? The DMS
No.
5 thing? Okay.
No.
I have no reason to think that this has changed. Basically, psychology states that we as human beings, through nature or nurture, whatever, I don't remember the details, we walk around thinking, and I may have talked about this on the podcast, we go around thinking that everything happens for a reason.
Yeah.
We gotta go around where, cosmically, the universe is set up to where the wicked is punished and the just is rewarded. Ultimately.
I believe that ultimately.
Yes. So, when something takes place where something horrific happens to an innocent person.
Right.
Like, you see a lot of victim blaming in rape cases.
Sure.
Something horrific happens to an innocent person, but they start blaming and giving the victim a bunch of crap.
Yeah.
When it's not their fault. Because based on this just world theorem, the wicked is punished and the just is rewarded. People inside themselves who are not aware of this, they go, what did you do to deserve this? Does that make sense?
Yes, and I'd just like to say that particular narrative was created by a lawyer.
What?
Sure it was.
Man, fuck lawyers.
A defense lawyer. Hey, don't blame my guy because he raped you. What were you doing, young lady?
I hate lawyers.
You see what I'm saying? Do you think a rational person would have pulled that out of the air?
This is the same type of mentality as the guy using the kid's white privilege to get him out of a drunk charge.
Exactly.
Drunk driving charge or something.
That's what I'm saying.
God, I hate lawyers.
Well, I mean, it all goes back to a defense based on a plausible argument. You got to pull that from somewhere. I don't know.
Dude, if for some reason, now mind you, this is incredibly crass and raunchy.
Yeah.
If I for whatever reason got involved in a lawyer, and I mean get involved.
Right.
It's like, okay, you're a lawyer. I don't trust you, but I like you. So we have to compromise. Get in the chastity belt.
That's right.
Because I don't, it's not that. It's just, all right, look. If something were to go south, or I have to stand trial, and you're there, not defending me, if you're prosecuting me, and hey, guess what? If you're in the chastity belt, you're not getting the key back. So you had better not fuck with me.
I got you.
Because you gotta hold something over them.
Yeah.
Because otherwise they'll just beat you to death with arguments.
Well, that's the difference between,
So you have to do something.
There's justice and truth.
Exactly.
Truth is truth and justice can be purchased. That's it.
At times.
At times.
Yeah, I know. Excuse me.
It's been an interesting day.
It has been.
This went quickly.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we've been jabbering for a good hot minute, so I'm kind of running out of steam, and I want to go to bed.
Yeah.
We both do.
Oh.
But it's okay. I mean,
it's okay.
Last episode was last podcast was kind of insane. So I guess it's okay to have a serious one every now and again.
I don't know. This one was a little insane too.
No, it was more serious because we're not talking about the guy that played Hannibal Lecter shooting people in the snow.
Man.
That was fucking crazy.
Can we have a podcast without you mentioning the phrase Hannibal Lecter?
No. Speaking of which...
No, I haven't.
Yeah.
I'm going to. It just has...
Yeah.
Honestly and truly, it has... Honestly, it hasn't come up. It hasn't come up. You know, I will tell you something.
I'm gonna
This
kick your
past...
ass.
Yeah, it's get a stool.
I'm tall enough.
Yeah, you are.
I'll throw the stool at you.
You know,
Throw the dog
I
at you,
have,
too.
over the last week,
Yeah.
I have noticed two. I was like watching a morning news show.
Yeah.
You know, and these morning shows really aren't news anymore.
No, they're not anymore.
They're like different versions of the Talk and the View and the Chew and the blah.
The soup was better.
Yeah. The soup was better.
It was better.
The soup was awesome.
Yeah.
What was his name? McCarthy?
Joel McHale.
Joe McHale.
Joe McHale or Joe Mahale or whatever.
Man.
He killed.
He killed.
But anyway.
Yeah, I have come into contact just in the last week with two cultural influential entities talking about the Clarice and Hannibal Lecter series.
Really?
Yeah.
Talking positively about it?
Yeah, well, I mean, just the fact to bring it up at all. Because if there wasn't some positive aspect to it,
they wouldn't have talked about it. Have you seen more of it besides the pilot episode?
No.
Okay.
No. And it's not for lack of, oh, there it is, I don't want to watch that.
Okay.
No, it just hasn't come up.
I might convince my
It's been a busy week for me.
Well, yeah, it has been. I might convince my pirate friend to see if he can take it easy. That was really loud.
Sorry.
It's okay. I might convince my pirate friend to see if he can rip it off of the internet.
That's not going to change anything for me personally. I mean,
no, I mean for me.
Oh, for you? Yeah.
For me.
Yeah, for you.
No,
yeah.
fuck you.
Yeah. That's
you
right.
still won't watch WandaVision.
What?
Yes. I offered it to you. You said no.
No, I said no right now, miss. Do what I want right now.
Yes. It's called a threat. You know me.
Well, if I'm in the mood to watch it, I'll watch it. If I ain't in the mood to watch it, I won't watch it. Doesn't matter what it is.
Well, here's the thing. I'm just trying to find other things to do and to watch because, I mean, I read through the books you've lent me.
Yeah.
Well, the first one. And I can't watch Dimension 20 for the third time because the rest of the episodes is on their separate website. And it's like, I'm trying to save money. I don't have time to give you a subscription for, like, the one thing you offer.
Yeah.
For some reason, now mind you, I'm not against them having a separate website, but the problem is that the majority of the content that they push out, it's kind of...
You mean the House of Mouse?
No, what? What are you talking about?
Content who pushes?
College Humor, the YouTube channel.
Oh.
They have a separate website called Dropout,
yeah.
And this D&D campaign I like to watch, which is on the Wheel of Death, called Dimension 20, where it's like the actors from College Humor, they get together, they play a D&D campaign, they record it, and they put it out there.
Yeah.
And it is amazing, but the problem is that the majority of their stuff is on their separate website. That's not the problem.
Yeah.
The problem is that I'm not paying a goddamn subscription when 85% of the stuff you're putting out is garbage.
Right.
You know, it's like you see...
I got you.
It's like you pass by a garbage can and you see a gold brick in there. Do you take the brick with you, or do you take the entire trash can?
That's a very good point.
You see what I mean?
Right.
Eventually, I might pony up the dough, but not right now.
Keep what serves you and get rid of the rest.
Exactly.
Sure. Yeah.
Exactly. I'm only in it for the D&D campaign. I don't give a fuck about their poorly written sketches. The actors are fine, but the humor is like, man, this writing sucks.
I think they're in a...
They're kind of in a rut. They have been for like 7 years.
Well, I mean, when you're pushed to create content quickly,
yeah,
that can happen.
Yeah. Honestly, the last really good thing that came out besides the D&D campaigns was probably If Google Was a Guy.
If Google Was a Guy.
That's them.
Okay.
That was the last thing they
I know
did. Yeah, that was the last thing they did where it was one guy. Really good.
Come on!
Yeah. Exactly.
Anyway.
Alright, I'm tired.
Yeah.
I want to go to bed.
Woo!
Yeah. Alright. Well, that's it, folks. I was your host, Bel-E.
And I was your exuberant co-host, Mr. Scratch.
And we'll see you guys next Tuesday.
Next Tuesday.
Hi.
Goodbye.